Well, welcome to week number 1 of the High River Community Wellness Challenge. We are so glad. Carol and I are crazy excited at the fact that we have, I think we're up 27 teams that have joined us for the 10th High River Community Wellness Challenge. Isn't that amazing?
That is wonderful.
We are so excited. So welcome to it. And sorry that we had a few technical difficulties and weren't able to go live with this video tonight, but we still welcome you to ask questions by posting them in the comments, or if you're seeing this later on YouTube, you can email us questions to hrcommunitywellnesschallenge@gmail.com, and feel free, and I will pass them along to Carol and she can answer those questions for you. Wanted to quickly touch base on a few questions that have come in our first few days. So we're what? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Day 4?
Yes.
Day 4. So far, just congratulations for making it 4 days. It always takes a little adjusting to add new things to your lifestyle and maybe take some things away from your lifestyle. And if you're seeing this and you haven't put together a team yet and you haven't started, that's okay. You can join the challenge anytime. So even if you want to start gathering your points as an individual, we can connect you with a team and just keep track of it as we go. Now the weeks, the way they're structured is they go from Sunday to Saturday. So week 1 started on the 19th and finishes on the 25th. So your points for each week are due the following Wednesday at noon. And we had a few people send in points this week, and I applaud you for it because that means you were on the ball and your team captains are fantastic. But we don't need the points for week 1 until Wednesday the 29th. So just always think Sunday to Saturday, Sunday to Saturday. That's how the weeks are structured. And then your points are due by the Wednesday of the following week. So that gives the team captains, you know what it's like, Carol, being a team captain or captaining for other teams too, that it takes a few days sometimes to gather. If your team is not members of your household, you need a couple of days to gather those points. So that's why we give you to the Wednesday at noon deadline. Make sense? If you're still confused, by all means, send us a message, text, email, social media, whatever you need to do. We are happy to answer those questions for you. And above all else, just keep having fun, because that's what this is all about at the end of the day. And hopefully really helpful. So with our theme of How's Your 5, each week we have a different theme. And so week number 1, you'll have seen posts throughout the week thus far talking about work. And work can also mean school-related, homeschooling and what that kind of looks like. And Carol MacMillan joins us tonight for info session number 1. And I'm going to turn it over to Carol now to give us the goods on how we can, I guess, just really get some tips and helps for working from home and schooling from home.
All right. Well, thank you very much and welcome everyone. And I think one thing that Jody and I proved tonight with the technical difficulties is the importance of adopting a go with the flow attitude. And I think that's very critical when we're also thrust into the position of working from home. Before we begin, I want to put a shout out to all of the people who already are very conditioned to working at home because they've been doing it for years. Kudos to you to already have great strategies and techniques, and I would very much welcome your comments directed to us because we can share. You guys are the pros. So this evening, how I'm going to format things are just basically 3 categories. I'm going to first go into the ergo-dynamics about how to have your office space, then a little bit about going into the importance of structuring a routine to help with your working from home success. And at the end, I'm going to focus a lot about how we can focus on our mental well-being and working towards that social isolation that we're experiencing working from home. So does that sound good?
I think so.
Good. Perfect. I need a little bit of the engagement, or else it's just me talking to this curtain and the backwards 5. So, all right. So when we're thinking about working from home, I encourage you to have a dedicated workspace. So, and I know this can be challenging, but even if it's a corner or a little desk, but it's something that you psychologically know that this is strictly for work. So I discourage anyone from working like necessarily in their bedrooms or on their beds. It's just a case of, you want to keep your sleep and workspace a little bit separate. So the other thing is you want to have that space known to your family members that it's your working space as well. You want to set it up where you can even have a sign on, perhaps saying work in progress, so people are respecting your boundaries. So just getting into the technical aspect, first of all, about how to even sit. We had this amazing presentation 2 years ago from Scott McIntyre for our ergo-dynamics wellness challenge info session that night, and I'm just going to run through the same steps. So firstly, your thighs should be parallel to the floor. So no sitting cross-legged, cutting off your circulation. That can lead to varicose veins and not a pleasant situation. And you want to keep your feet nice and squared off in the floor. So pressing into the floor, no tension. And this is what I say to yoga clients too. Your feet are like a beautiful square, equal pressure with each toe, okay? This also naturally lends itself to a nice lengthening of your spine as you connect to the earth. And that's my little homage to Earth Day today, okay? So you're getting nice and connected to the earth, okay? And then you're going to make sure that each sit bone has equal weight, because sometimes we can get into the shifting and leaning. So it's just nice, equal pressure into the chair. The back of your knees should be clear of the chair, because once again, you don't want to cut off any circulation. And your back, lower, and mid back should be well supported. Now, this is where I kind of don't necessarily support my back, because I like to engage my core. So that's why personally I love sitting on an exercise ball for that. But the point is, you want that nice core contraction, nice and tall. The reason why I don't like to slope back is I'm very short to begin with, but then that's when my body posture. So it's all about comfort for you. Your elbows should, the forearms should be supported and your shoulders relaxed at all times. And this is a big one, especially for someone like me that carries stress in my shoulders. I encourage you not to have a death grip on your mouse, okay? So unless you're using your mouse, don't touch the mouse. Just have a nice relaxed posture and watch that there's no tension going into certain. Just think about shoulders dropping away from the ears and nice raising the crown of the head to the ceiling, okay? And just breathe, all right? Elbows should be approximately the same height as your keyboard, and your wrists should be straight at all times and in line with your forearms. And above all, the monitor should be at a comfortable level. So you don't want too much neck strain this way, but conversely, that way too. Now that we're working so much on our screens, the other thing too is you want to make sure that there's no glare on your screen, because that can be quite exhausting as well. And I've noticed myself, I've been wearing my reading glasses more and more because of staring at these screens. So it's just a nice soft gaze. The other thing about the eyes, a little bit of eye yoga here for you, but you want to, before you're prepping, just do nice solid blinking and just also cleansing your mind about what the day is going to hold, okay? So it might sound hokey, but it helps prevent eye strain. So just a nice soft gaze. And also just take note if you're clenching your jaw or teeth or gritting your teeth, whatever, okay? So I know that's quite a quick rundown, but all good, Jody?
That sounds amazing. And I don't know if you can see me during this, while you're talking, I made sure I sit up a little bit straighter and I put my shoulders down. So those are all really great tips. Thank you.
Well, hey, no problem. So just one thing too about making your space comfortable, thinking about the workspace that you've left behind. A key component is to have things around your workspace that are gently reminding you exactly why you are working. So those are the beautiful pictures of your family or your dog or the trips that you've taken, because during this stressful time, we can kind of sit back and wonder, why are we doing this? And also to reflect upon when we were in our regular routine prior to COVID, that what motivated us to get out of bed to go to work to begin with. Okay, it was to accomplish some tasks. You know, we're very driven, whereas working from home can be very disruptive in that regard. Before I move on, the other thing about, I'm just going to touch a little bit on the homeschooling, and this is where I would be so happy that homeschooling parents could make their comments, because you are the excellent resource. But I would also encourage you to have a nice space set aside for your child or children to do their homeschooling, so that they know that they have a private space to work, and also get that mindset about this is time for schooling versus time for socializing. Now, going into the routine, I would strongly encourage you to either have a day planner or a calendar on your phone. But to break it down your day into segments, because the biggest thing that's lacking when we're working from home is all of a sudden we've been thrust out of having a routine of going to work. And when I encourage clients about having this detailed, it helps keep us on track. So it's not like you take your day planner and say, okay, working 9 to 5, because that's so vague. I encourage you the night before each night to set down your plans. Now, if you've got personal appointments, which I know are very limited now due to this, but this is for the future as well, you're going to put your personal life in first, because family is important. So if you had a doctor's appointment, that goes in. But then you're going to also schedule everything about your day. And it might seem nitpicky, but it helps keep you on track and focus. So if you are someone who likes to exercise in the morning, you're going to put that you're working out from such and such time to such and such time. You're even going to put breakfast down. Then you're going to incorporate some tasks that you do at work. And then you're going to incorporate walk breaks. And I know you get the picture, because what can happen is we get very much either feeling a little bit of aimlessness, or we get too focused on our screens. So the key is to make them into nice measurable pieces where you can think, okay, from 9 till 10, I'm going to work on this particular project for work. From 10 to 10:15, I'm going to have a Zoom coffee with Jody. And you see how it keeps it. And then from 10:15 to 10:30, have a little walk, whatever. But it keeps you fresh and productive. And also incorporating proper snack breaks and meal planning. Because one thing that I think are all finding is when we're at work, we don't have access to our pantry that we have at home. And when we go to work, we generally have our little lunch kit that's all prepped and practical. And when we walk by the fridge in the office, we're not thinking about just opening it and staring at it and consuming Joe Smith's lunch, because we know that just is wrong. But at home, it's fair game all of a sudden. So what I do encourage you to do, either the night before or even part of your day, because it gets you up and moving and active, is prep healthy snacks that are easily available. So chopping up vegetables, washing your fruit, slicing up cheese and crackers, you get the idea. But the point is having healthy snacks so that when we're walking by the dry goods pantry with the chips and whatnot, it's not as, hopefully, as tempting. And that goes for the lunches as well. So have a nice, healthy lunch, because research shows that densely nutritious meals help with the brain function as well as just productivity, period. Okay, so I hope that makes sense, and I hope I'm not rattling on too much. I tend to go bouncing around, but that's how it is when you're working from home and stuff.
Well, and I think so far we've learned working from the sofa in our pajamas with all the food from the pantry isn't helpful. So I've been doing that wrong. Well, too, maybe you'll talk about it when you come into mental well-being. I don't mean to cut you off, but okay. I found just one of the things that has been beneficial to me working from home, because it's And I love that people are embracing the, like, my daytime pajamas and my nighttime pajamas, and you're comfortable because you're at home. But I know when I have, say, like a meeting thing or an important Zoom webinar or something, where even just to make myself feel more focused is I'll put on makeup and I'll do my hair, and like lipstick to me has always been go time. It's an old trick from my radio days. But also just like, if you don't want to put on real pants, don't, but like put on a shirt that you would have wore to work. And then just, I find that's been a little bit helpful in trying to get yourself a little bit more prepared, I guess. Would you agree with that?
Oh, most definitely. I was going to touch on that as well, because that's along that mindset about how pre-COVID, when we would go to work, right? It was that mindset of, we never would think about going to work in our pajamas, for example. The minute we get dressed up, it puts that different professionalism and our different mindset. And just like I used to advise clients before having job interviews via the phone, you get dressed up, because even if they can't see you for a telephone interview, you feel it for sure. And that's the key, because it's funny, I had seen this quote on my calendar, and it's discipline is the bridge between goals and achievement. And I think this is the key to successfully working from home, is having that bit of self-discipline. And on that note, and I guess that's going to go into a little bit of the mental well-being, you might ask, what do I know about social isolation? Because I'm out and about all the time. But why this resonates quite importantly to me, and I'm hoping this will help people who are possibly struggling right now, is, and I don't mind sharing this, is that both of my pregnancies were very difficult. And the first go around, I was on bed rest for 8 weeks. But the second go around, I was on bed rest for 18 weeks. And you might think, what's the big deal? Well, there was a big deal for many reasons, but one being that we were in a 4-level split house, and I needed to be on the same level as the bathroom, and I wasn't allowed to do stairs. So that made me up on the top floor by myself, me in the bathroom, in bed. Now, I do have some memories of counting the stipple on the ceiling at times, but why I'm giving you this story is celebrate the fact that you're not on bed rest. You've got the run of your house, and you can get through this, because trust me, like, and you know how outdoorsy I am, like 1 minute you're fine, the next minute you're thrust into a situation where you feel helpless. So why I'm bringing this up is also for you to think about, yes, we're in this challenging situation, but we're going to get through it because of our well-being. The same way that when I would be maybe thinking, it was always about, well, I've got this person growing inside me. So this is the whole thing, that it's your mental well-being and your healthy spirit that you're working on, with having a solid strategies to help with the social isolation. So this is why I am really thinking about the whole discipline thing, is that really reflect on, when are your productive periods? Because we can always think about the positive with everything, because perhaps you're a night owl who the 9 to 5 has never really worked for you to begin with. So if you're productive at 2 in the morning, you've now got permission. And yes, I'd say it's okay at 2 in the morning if you're in your pajamas. But, you know, if this is where you're more productive, really start listening to your own human cycles and thinking about ways to find the success in this difficult situation. Because when we find even that little glimmer of success, it really helps to keep our spirit, our inner purpose going. Because the one thing about our society, our ego integrity is very much linked to our jobs, whether we intend it to or not. That's just the way it is. So that's why, like, back to even our dress for success, putting you in a mindset, um, knowing that you're not alone. And for the people who are homeschooling, and I can't even begin to fathom what kind of challenge that is. But that's why reach out to your friends who are strong in subjects that maybe you're struggling with, or reach out to your friends with some interesting strategies for helping your children learn. Like, don't pass judgment. This is a time we should never pass judgment ourselves, but if there is a time that is stressing that now, it's, and that's why I encourage you, put posters around. This is a judgment-free zone. It's day by day. Here is now. Because even if you happen to have a big plan for, let's say, Thursday, big productive day, but something happens, give yourself a break. And when I say that, I don't mean that that's giving you leverage to flop down on the couch with your jumbo-sized Doritos and, you know, Red Bull. And it's more just the fact of, let's just regroup. What can I do to get myself pumped up again? And that can be as simple as, I'll tell you what I've been doing lately to bring some joy to my life when I feel a little bit stressed, is I put on little snippets of Carol Burnett, like Tim Conway and Harvey Korman with The Dentist. That does it to me all the time. So it's just those simple things. You see, it's giving yourself permission. I can take a 10-minute joy break. It's a 10-minute recovery, okay? But it doesn't mean that, okay, from now on, week after week after week, it's sedentary. And I'm just going to see if I... Oh, and another thing that I would encourage is along the same lines as the day planner, but have a gratitude journal. These are very difficult times right now that we can really get caught up. It's COVID this, or it's the mass shootings. I mean, that's just thrown Canada, you know, for a loop. It's think about the small things that you're grateful for, because, you know, even the fact that you have a house to be in, you've got, I know the isolating thing is very challenging, but there's one comforting thing I find with this is we're all in this together. This hasn't been a separator. And I really do believe that when we come out of this, we'll have a greater acknowledgement about humanity and what we can do for each other and for ourselves. But as usual, when you're thinking about if you need support, know that there's resources out there. There's the FCSS, there's the Canadian Mental Health Association, and the nice thing about the High River Wellness Challenge is you send us an email with a question and we will find the resources for you. Don't feel that you're ever alone. And I think that's the key part. What we're so pumped about with the Wellness Challenge is we're doing this and it's open, like just, it's all about success. So I think, I feel like I've kind of rambled on, but I think that is probably, unless if I have a moment to just say one thing about a breathing exercise that you might find useful, is thinking about that nice elongation, your crown of your head rising up to the ceiling, thinking about that nice lengthening in here, open collarbone, thinking about lifting your heart center up. Feet, toes are not gripping. It's just nice and grounded in. And then just placing your palms on your thighs, face down. And just take a nice breath in through the nose. And then out through the nose again, just a nice clearing and just no judgment. And then for people who want to add a little bit, I like this 3-part breathing because it gets people's monkey minds out of the way. It's your breathing in first through your belly, then up to the middle, and then up to the collarbones. And then as you release, it's out through the belly first, then the center, then the upper. And the reason why we do it that way is it's equal gas exchange in each lobe of our lung area. So that's why it's not, sometimes with exercise, you'll hear that into the belly, up, and then out through the upper first. But for a nice yogic 3-part breathing, it's in through the belly, into the middle, in through the upper, and then out through the belly, out through the middle, out through the upper. Now, if you find it difficult, what I still love about it is getting the monkey mind out of the equation. And soon you'll find just even thinking 1, 2, 3, or even lower, middle, upper. It's quite calming.
I'm so relaxed now. Perfect. One I saw too, I don't know if it was somebody who posted or something I've listened to, because I've tried to take breaks from the reality of the news of this to focus on other ways to ground. And someone had said, mind shift in that you aren't stuck at home, you're safe at home. And switch those words, and then all of a sudden it feels a little bit less. I mean, I'm not gonna it's still hard. Like we are honest and real in the wellness challenge. It is still hard, but it definitely feels a lot better to say I'm safe at home, not I'm stuck at home.
It's all about the power of the mind. It really is. And listen to your gut. And there's a whole reason about, the gut instinct, but just listen and be aware, and no judgment. If there's a day that you feel like sleeping in till 10 o'clock in the morning, do it, knowing that then you're going to revamp your schedule.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Carol. Wait, I think I can do clapping. Okay. I am going to conquer this technology if it kills me in the process. But so thank you so very much for sharing your wisdom and your heart and your mind with us tonight for info session number 1. Again, if you have any questions that you would like to pass along to Carol, you can direct message us. You can post it underneath the video. We will find those answers for you in one way, shape, or form. And also just wanted to say too, we have lots of brand new teams in the challenge with us this year, but we have a few teams that I would call them vets, or definitely people who have conquered this challenge in the past, that are all on our social media with us. So if you want to get tips or ideas or suggestions, or you're struggling, throw it out there, because they've all been through it too, and we're all doing this as a community. That is, again, the other piece that is so important for us on your entire committee that is behind this challenge, is we just wanted to be able to rally and unite us together as a community during this time. So keep that in mind. All right, we're gonna go post this video now. We got this, Carol. All right, thank you again, and have a wonderful night, everybody.